Welcome back to Movie Recap. Today I'm gonna show you a 2012 American war film called Red Tails. Spoilers ahead. Sit back, relax and enjoy the video. The movie begins with a gray plane blasting and fire swallowing the yellow by its tail. It is a Messerschmitt Bf 109G with a German pilot. Many of its fellows zoom here and there as they release shots towards American flying fortresses, also known as bomber planes, which crowd the sky. Some P-51 CS Mustang can also be seen around the bomber planes. It is an air fight between Americans and Germans. Present time in Italy. It's the year 1944, and now the sky has 4 Curtiss P-40 Warhawks maintaining a formation. One P-40, tagged Easy, takes front position. It's the leader of the troop. The plane right behind carries a yawning pilot called Lightning. Then there's Junior, and Joker, who complains about his plane being as trashy as his grandfather's Buick. A few moments later, they begin firing at a truck with German markings as they fly in low altitude. It doesn't take any longer than a few seconds to actually finish the said vehicle. It's a mission success for them, and they celebrate in sarcasm. They are about to return to base when Junior spots a train. They start debating if it's a military or livestock in the train. Well, only one way to find out. Easy leads them towards the train as he orders them to stay in formation. Lightning, on the other hand, suggests they should take it head on. Easy does not listen and emphasizes his leadership. As they get closer, uniformed men begins to uncover some carriages. Voila! It's livestock with guns that immediately begin firing at them. They counter-fire as they swear hate on the Nazis. They fire with such urgency as the train approaches a tunnel. Lightning, on the other hand, flies ahead, breaking their supposed formation. He attacks the train head front just like he wanted at first. In just a few blows, the train becomes a bomb in itself as it bursts fire in different directions. The train blowing up is not the only casualty though. Lightning's plane also receives injuries as it absorbs debris from the blown up train. However, his smoky barfing plane does not stop him to actually check on a lady by the rooftop while on their way to the base. Coffee, the aircraft mechanic, can only sigh seeing Lightning's plane. It's actually not the first time that the pilot gets home a handicapped aircraft. One thing to take note of the military base is that every one of them is black. It's the middle of the day, and every pilot gathers in a room. One high official, Major Stantz, pauses their movie. It is a film of Lightning's featuring Stantz commands Lightning, and at the same time let them ask questions. One soldier raises a question. It's a question on the system they are in, as they are not given any real mission as how he implies it. He also drops a question about a certain Colonel Bullard being at the stateside. He then confronts the major of the rumor about their camp base being terminated. Stantz tries to brush it off. However, a piece of paper confirms the rumor. Easy reads the paper before everyone else. It talks about how Negroes are viewed incompetent and unfit for war. Thus, the great Tuskegee experiment to allow the Negro type to fly airplanes has failed. Everyone remains speechless for a moment. Speaking of Colonel Bullard, he is speaking among high officials about the Tuskegee program. He speaks boldly against the argument of the program as a failure. He speaks about the little opportunity they get along with the hand-me-down planes to do low-down, dirty jobs despite the potentials their pilots have. It is the afternoon and Maurice Wilson, a new member of the Red Squad, finds himself listening to his squad's dilemmas in the form of jokes. Smokey talks about making up war stories when he gets home, and Deke lists his motor inventories, the only things he killed in the war. They tell him how the Tuskegee Airman gets nothing but the second, or even the lowest rate. Easy listens quietly in everything as he directs his eyes towards Junior. After a moment, Easy approaches Junior. He talks to him and finds out how Junior prefers to be called Ray Gun instead, and how the young pilot was an engineering student before enrolling in the Tuskegee program. Politics is the art of postponing a decision until it is no longer relevant. Colonel Bullard finds himself reciting this quote by one of their professors along with Colonel Jack Tomlinson. The latter talks about how a mistake by one colonel showing the news about the train incident buys Colonel Bullard and then the Tuskegee Airmen enough time. It's enough time for Colonel Tomlinson to get them Operation Shingle and air covers for beach landing. It's a fateful day for Major Stantz as he reads a letter from Colonel Bullard. He gets another official to call for the flight leaders as a hint of a smile graces his face. Stantz enters the room where the pilots are gathered and calls their attention. He has the Operation Shingles plans in his hands. He explains the operation, gaining him cheers from everyone. Everyone gathers at the flight line with Junior coming in last, almost late. His plane now has Ray Gun printed on it instead of Junior. They are in high spirits as they talk about the prospect of shooting Jerrys, just another word for Germans. Easy is the first one to shoot down a Jerry. They assist each other tearing down plane by plane, all the while making sure American fighters land by the beach. As they do, Lightning spots the German squad leader, and declares on taking him out. Easy warns him to be careful and assists him all the way. They manage to hit the Jerry, making him turn around with a blazing head. At that instant, Easy has to debate between finishing the very plane right then and there, or follow him to his base. The latter is a proposition by Lightning which he heeds, trusting his wingman's judgment. The German squad leader calls a mayday, and informs the Luftwaffe base of his tales. However, the Germans cannot prepare enough even to save their brand new planes. The Red Squad is quick enough to bombard them fire after fire. The Germans can only watch in dismay as their planes blow off one after the other, and at times multiples at once. They can only stand to watch and spit curses, as the Tuskegee Airmen display their technical prowess in the air. The Red Squad returns home with a celebration as everyone in the base waves at them in welcome. Everyone has a smile on their face except for Junior. The young pilot returns home blind, and with numb legs, all for the cause of their victory. The high officials of the American military pass their congratulations to Colonel Bullard for the impressive stunts that the Tuskegee pilots showcased. 8 kills in the air, and 63 aircrafts destroyed on the ground without any loss for their part is indeed worthy of respect. However, not for one certain mustached official who only sees their color. To him, Colonel Bullard shrugs a "we don't care." At the military medical station, Junior pleads with Easy into helping him stay with the air squad. However, it sounds almost impossible with his current condition. The attack at Luftwaffe left him with a blind left eye. The spotlight that the Tuskegee pilots got gets Colonel Bullard into a certain General Luntz's office for yet another mission. This time, the general demands for airmen that will escort the bombers no matter what. He makes it clear that he doesn't care if the pilots put down another Jerry plane or not, as long as his men returns home safe. In return, Colonel Bullard demands for new planes to close the deal. Talking about spotlight, Deke gives it to his Black Jesus. He doesn't care, and defends his idol from his squad, who pokes fun at him as they play cards. Another spotlight is for Lightning as Easy spills his love life to everyone. An Italian lady who knows no English has Lightning to do all things for her. A second spotlight for Lightning is the commotion in the officers' club, which turns out to be only for white officers. It has Lightning in an isolation cell. Easy comes over and talks to him about his demeanor. However, he refuses to listen. Instead, he pokes at Easy over his life. The next one to talk to him is Colonel Bullard, who just got to the base bearing good news. Colonel Bullard describes him as a punk always ready to fight. In another sentence, the colonel calls him the best pilot. For the second reason, and the fact that they will need every pilot they have, Lieutenant Joe Little, aka Lightning, is commanded to report to his unit. This time, Colonel Bullard has every pilot listening to him as he lays out the plan for the next mission. He explains how it will be different from the usual task of escort fighters. Their victory will be counted not by the number of enemies they put down, but with the number of bombers they will get to the target, and the number of lives they will save. The pep talk for their mission puts a serious face on every pilot. This time, Colonel Bullard makes them break into smiles as he announces the purchase of new aircrafts for them. AP-51 is the best aircraft the American Armed Forces has, and it sure makes everyone happy, including Junior, who gets to be in the next mission despite his condition, all thanks to Easy, and the surgeon who cleared him. "Red tails?" are the first words a bomber pilot blurts out as soon as the Tuskegee Airman zooms in on them for recognition. Coffee painted the tails of the P-51s red to make them look distinctive. Well, another distinction is the next words the pilot says: "Black pilots." Realizing that their escorts is a group of Negroes, the pilot informs the others to not expect much from them. The Red Tails remain true to the plan, and get the bombers to complete their mission. However, as they turn to head back home, Germans begin attacking them. The attack plus Junior's eye proves to be the recipe for his downfall. Easy has to order him to get out of his plane to save his life. On the ground, however, the Germans capture him. The Germans' attack also has Deke bathing in fuel inside his plane. Lightning offers to guide Deke back home, however, Easy insists on the call and commands everyone else to head back to base. Everyone follows except for Lightning. He takes a detour, and takes a shot on a German ship on the sea. He blows it off, and gets back with the others. Easy keeps Deke awake in the air while talking to him. He guides him with every step until they reach the base. At landing, however, Deke complains about overheating. Indeed, his plane blows off as soon as he hits the ground. Unfortunately, with 60-degree burns, Deke has to be sent home. On the other while, Junior bunks with other American soldiers in the German camp. The incident has Lightning worrying over Easy, and so confronts him with his drinking habit for the second time after Deke's incident. This time, they come to a compromise: no alcohol for Easy, and obedience for Lightning. It's a fateful day for Easy's squad. A white soldier calls after them as they walk towards an Italian dance hall for drinks. They try to ignore it, but the man is persistent. Chester Barnes of the 98th Bomb Group means no harm when he called Easy's squad, though he may have called them colored along with the mention of red tails. He salutes the group as he speaks of his gratitude for the mission they had with them over a month ago. With that, the All-White Officers Club welcomes them with Barnes's introduction. Another mission is in a brew for the Tuskegee Airmen, a bombardment operation to shut down the Germans' ability to shore up a Berlin defense. They expect everything the Luftwaffe has, with the possibility of 262 German jet fighters, the best and the most evil there is. However, it is not the target area that is their concern, much for Colonel Bullard's distaste. Apparently, their group is only planned to escort the bomber planes to Berlin. The general laying out the plan reasons out that the P-51s will need more to actually get to Berlin and fight, to which Major Stantz disagrees. Another official supports Major Stantz's argument. However, the general refutes, saying this will be an operation with too much attention. The day of the mission comes. Major Stantz makes Easy stay behind as he lets the others off after talking about the mission plan. He gives the call of just escorting the bomber planes and get to the rendezvous point, or to go all the way to Berlin and escort in the bombardment operation. Before that day, Easy has been having a crisis with his leadership. He had received ray guns dog tags from his fellow prisoner and had asked Colonel Bullard to relieve him of his position. Bullard, however, told him to man up and accept his duties. Now, with the future of his squad on the line, Easy takes a breather and again with his drink. Completing the first leg of the mission, the Red Tails talk about their chances. Coming to a decision, Easy emphasizes that they are only going the distance to protect the bombers. Everyone cheers with the prospect of going one-on-one with the jet fighters, especially Lightning, who blows a gentle kiss on the picture of his fiancée. Just like everyone has been telling them, the 262 fighter jets indeed show no mercy. They begin firing at them non-stop the moment they blurt jets. Maurice is the first one to prove it with his plane going down. He can no longer take control. One bomber plane also gets the wrath of the 262s. The pilot decides to head back to base. Seeing it, Easy orders Smokey to escort it back. He does not notice that the German Luftwaffe flight leader is already after his tail. Pretty boy, as Lightning likes to call him, swears in all German as he fires at Easy. The Red Tails leader gears up and meets surprise. Right in front of him, Lightning is also speeding towards him. He takes heed when the wingman orders him to dive. Lightning exclaims, and the others cheer in delight. Right in front of them, the German plane bursts into fire. However, their celebration turns into confusion and panic for Easy as Lightning tells him that he's not going to make it. Easy calls Lightning over and over, telling him to pull back his stick, and orders him to get out of his plane. He can only do so seeing the wingman's plane going down and the latter going silent on him. Joker calls Easy over and over, screaming his name, and even orders him to stay on mission. The captain responds after he cries out for him. The movie ends with Colonel Bullard honoring the death of Lieutenant Joe Little, aka Lightning, as the pilot who exceeded even the highest of expectations. Then, Junior comes back to everyone's grateful surprise. This time, he asserts his desire to be addressed as Ray Gun. Lastly, the Tuskegee Airmen become the first African Americans to get recognition for their outstanding skills, gallantry, devotion, and courage in the face of war. The Red Tails become the first colored soldiers to get the United States Army to salute on them in a public ceremony. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this to help the channel out. Have a nice day.